Hey gang, welcome back to Better Call Sexton. I'm your host, James Sexton. Hey, before we start, we are danger close to 100,000 subscribers, and we would absolutely love to hit that fabulous milestone, the first of what I hope will be many milestones. So if you haven't done so already, could you please do us a favor? Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. It really does help the channel. Once we hit 100,000 subscribers, I have the intention of making a very special visit with one of you, one of our subscribers. We're gonna have some giveaways. We're gonna have all kinds of exciting things once we hit that 100,000 mark. So please help us get there. And remember, this is also a podcast. If you're listening on the podcast, check us out on YouTube. If you're watching us on YouTube, remember to add us on your podcast. You can get all the Sexton you want. So much Sexton, you'll just be stuffed with Sexton, not in a literal sense of the term. Although, I mean, listen, you know, if whatever we got to do to get to 100,000 subscribers, I mean, I'm not proud. You know what I mean? Well, just as a team effort. But for now, let's get after it.
All right, Jim, we begin with a different type of law, but one that has captivated the nation nonetheless, the Nancy Guthrie abduction case.
Oh, yeah.
We are now over 2 weeks in. The police have had a couple failed attempts to detain people and make an arrest. And now we're reaching the point of this case where people are getting conspiratorial. People are starting to turn on the Guthries. People are saying, why do we even care? But obviously a very unfortunate situation with an 84-year-old woman who has now been gone for a couple weeks. And Savannah Guthrie from the Today Show's at the center of it. Now, obviously not your purview of law, but in general, something tragic like this, it can affect families in more than one way. Yeah, and
I think it affects the public perception of law and law enforcement. You sort of forget that really what lawyers are, unless you're watching Law and Order and you have that intro about, you know, there are two distinct separate systems in the criminal justice system.
Dun, dun.
Dun, dun. Yeah, law and law enforcement are very much tied to each other. You know, we end up I've represented a lot of police officers, represented a lot of people married to police officers, especially early in my career. One of the things that this is driving home to people, and I think it's actually good that it be driven home. Obviously, it's not good that anything negative has befallen an 84-year-old woman, but that there's no superpowers among law enforcement. Like, I think people have been watching detective movies and TV shows too much, where it's like, we found one piece of hair. We're going to be able to deconstruct exactly where this person is. And based on the fact that there was one piece of hair and that piece of hair had a piece of dirt in it, and that dirt happens to be from the ground it's got trace chemicals of blah, 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 which means it was by this part of the harbor. Like, that's just not real. Like, that's just like it's as unreal as like Superman and his X-ray vision. So people look at this and they'll say like, well, can't the police like reconstruct this and figure out where it's like, police don't really have superpowers. There really is the law enforcement equivalent of like, did you try turning it off and turning it back on again? Like, they're like, did her husband do it? No. Did she have anyone who hates her and wanted to do her harm? No, she's 84. Like, no, probably not. Has anyone heard anything? No. Okay. All right. Well, we're going to keep our eyes out. It's like, okay, thanks, guys. Like, it's sort of, you know, it's like a lost dog. Like, well, when's the last time you saw it? Retrace your steps. Like, that's kind of what they do. So, and anything more than that, you see that there becomes this concern about us being in a surveillance state. Yeah. You know, the Super Bowl ad that Ring Doorbell did certainly didn't do much for its share price. Insofar as everyone sort of went, wait a minute, you're going to be able to find lost dogs, but also you're going to be able to activate everyone's cameras to see who was walking past their home. And that feels a little bit 1984 surveillance state to us, as if like Palantir is not already doing that.
I was going to say, they're already watching,
I was going to say, they're watching right now. They're sort of, sorry guys, don't shut off my banking.
But that was an interesting part of it, is that right after Ring had their commercial and the viral concerns, Nest was at the center of this because it took 8 days to get it, and I don't know why that was the case, but eventually Nest footage kind of led to the first lead in the case.
And I've said before that you know, I've had a tremendous number of cases where a Nest cam or an indoor Nest cam or security cam, a nanny cam, ended up providing very valuable evidence. You know, either to exonerate a client who's been accused of some wrongdoing. I've had a couple of cases where there was allegations of domestic violence, and we managed to catch it on a Ring cam. You know, the woman running out of the house and the guy grabbing her, dragging her back in. I told you about the case where the guy was beating the 6-month-old Labrador puppy, and we caught that on the Ring cam, and that gave us the ability, because everybody shows up for court, you know, looking in their, you know, wearing their best and being on their best behavior. Everybody drives slow and the cops are behind them. So it's really useful to be able to show the contrast of, okay, here's this person looking all put together, but here's what they really look like when no one's watching. So I think there's value in that. Look, this is a tragic situation. Anytime you've got, a missing person, I think that's one of the most terrifying things that can happen, because there's this feeling of, if harm has befallen them, and they're dead, it's like, okay, there's at least closure that comes with that. But someone who's just missing and we never find them, I mean, there's a tremendous number of people who just vanish, and you don't know where they are. You never find out where they are. It's like they drop off the earth. And we don't publicize that a lot, because I think it would A, terrify people, and B, it would show the limitations of law enforcement. But the limitations of law enforcement are increasingly on display in recent weeks and months. And I don't know that that's a bad thing. I think that people have to realize that, there is no Superman showing up. That these are just people doing a job. It's a difficult job. It's a job that is really important, law enforcement. If you don't think so, next time you're in trouble, call a hippie. It won't work out. So it's useful to have law enforcement. But realizing the limitations of it, and realizing that these are just people. They're just people trying to do a job, and they're just as susceptible. They have the same cognitive biases as any other individuals. And, they don't have superpowers, and they don't have, supercomputers available that they're going to be able to take one speck of dirt and tell you where your aunt is. That's not how it works.
This also has displayed kind of how the public reacts in these moments. Two main things that I've watched. One, the quickness with they will declare it's the brother-in-law, it's the brother-in-law's friend, and then all of a sudden there is pictures and government names and everybody running with it, ready to condemn someone. And then the other thing is the amount of people kind of turning after a week. They get sick of it, and it turns into, well, why do we care just because it's a famous person? And there are bigger problems in the world. And that might be true, but also you can still have sympathy for an 84-year-old woman missing.
Those are two real phenomenon. One being the phenomenon of the internet continuing to be the most vocal place for the uninformed opinion, where people just with tremendous confidence, if their confidence matched their knowledge, it would be a whole different thing. But their confidence is so overconfident, it's just preposterous. And they say with absolute certainty, oh, no, this is what's going on, and that's just a totally uninformed opinion. And two, I think the news cycle moves on very quickly, and people, why are we talking about this? And it really, I find that even in my own postings, if I, post a video about me talking about a crisis in masculinity, a crisis in femininity, something to do with a particular legal issue for divorced parents, they're like, why aren't you talking about Palestine? Or why aren't you talking about Rwanda? Or why are 4,000 children starve per hour? And you're like, okay, that is true. And I'm not suggesting those aren't things that require, our attention. But I just think we're very oddly selective about this. We're, when you look at the Met Gala, when I remember recently the Grammy Awards, and all of the people talking about ICE, and being against ICE and those kinds of things. And I'm not suggesting that you should be for or against ICE or whatever's happening in the immigration world right now. But these are the same people that went to the Met Gala and wore, millions of dollars worth of jewelry at the Met Gala. And I'm supposed to take lectures from these people about, how we should behave on social issues and what important, if you have tens of millions of dollars that you could contribute to something as ridiculous as your cars or your house, and you're that concerned about something, why don't you put your money where your mouth is? You could do a tremendous amount of good with those funds. What if we canceled the Met Gala one year and just said, okay, we're now going to use all of that money to support some cause that everybody could get behind, something like, homelessness in America or food scarcity, and people who are going through, economic difficulty, and they don't have the ability to, to feed their families. We've become very all or nothing. I got pilloried a ton for daring to say that motherhood is not the hardest job in the world. I did not say motherhood is not important. I did not say motherhood is not hard, particularly when you have very young children or infants, and they're not away at school for 7 or 8 hours a day. I didn't say any of those things, but I dared to say, hey, being an offshore driller might be harder than changing diapers. I'm not saying it's more important. I'm not saying it's existentially more difficult, but I would imagine imagine like being a Navy SEAL, you know, or being a hot tar roofer. Like that is really thankless job, doesn't pay particularly well, long hours, awful conditions, physically taxing. Something can be really important without it being the most important thing in the world. Something can be really hard and important without it being the hardest job there is. Like we don't have to engage in that kind of hyperbole. We could just say, yeah, this is really important and this is also really important. It doesn't have to be a ranking. You know, we talk a lot on this show about relationship stress and the things that tear people apart who had even the best of intentions. And one of the things that it's undeniable that absolutely tears relationships apart and creates unnecessary stress is financial trouble. That's why I'm grateful for the services of one of today's sponsors, Rocket Money. Rocket Money gives people a platform to take control of their finances. And Rocket Money is challenging you right now to make some changes to your finances for 2026. Rocket Money has all of these amazing automations that it can offer to you. It can track your spending. It can show you duplicate subscriptions. It can show you monthly and weekly reports of where your money is actually going. And that enables you to take power and control over your finances. Look, I talk all the time about how a little bit of proactive maintenance can help prevent big problems, and that it's a whole lot easier to keep things on track than to let them fall off track and then try to repair them. That's where Rocket Money comes in with your finances. Rocket Money is one of the things that can keep financial stress out of your relationship. And for the unbelievable value that it provides to you, trust me, it's a lot less expensive than 1 hour of a divorce lawyer's time. So signing up for Rocket Money has never been easier. So what do? 2026 is your year. Sign up rocketmoney.com/James Sexton. That's right, rocketmoney.com/James Sexton to get started for free. That's right, it's a special for you, our viewer at Better Call Sexton. Sign up rocketmoney.com/James Sexton.
Moving on, the other big thing going on in America right now, or across the world really, is obviously the Winter Olympics.
Winter Olympics.
And
I feel like the Winter Olympics is kind of like the redheaded stepchild
you
of the
know
Summer
what?
Olympics.
I kind of like it better.
Do you really?
I mean, I get
Okay.
the track and field, and there's
Yeah.
really a lot of sexy Summer Olympic stuff, but I think the figure skating, the speed skating, I think there's some of the skiing stuff is all pretty cool.
I will tell you, I find a lot of the most interesting Olympic events give me tremendous anxiety to watch them. And I'm not an anxiety-prone person, but there is just something about watching these incredibly talented people who have just monastically devoted their lives from the time they were children to this singular pursuit, and to have in one instant everything go horribly wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like to watch the quad god.
Oh my God,
fall,
it broke my soul to
and you
watch
just
that. Oh.
find yourself thinking like,
That's
this
it.
guy, like, and they keep that smile and they keep that professionalism.
He went
But
over to the
you
guy, shook his
just-
hands.
Yeah,
you know?
you just think to yourself, like, their heart must be so broken and they work so hard to do something that I just couldn't do anything even remote. Like, I can't even a straight line on skates. Like, I look like that, you know, crazy, like a newborn deer trying to find its feet. And this guy, they're just doing this, and you just look at it and just go like, oh shit. And you might not even get to do it again in 4 years because the level of shape you'd have to stay in and all the work you have to do. So gymnastics, you know, you watch these young women just do these things, and then and by the way, the part that really cracks me up and like breaks my heart is when they show this person. I'm watching them and I'm like, oh my God, that was incredible. It was so incredible what they just did. And then they replay it in slow motion, like, ooh, that's where he lost a point.
I know, and the judges are like, oh, that was horrible.
His knee slightly bent. His knee slightly bent. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
Flying through the air.
Let me tell you something. Like, I remember when they said, like, oh, Lance Armstrong, you know, when they took away his Tour de France wins, because they were like, oh, he was on drugs. Like, dude, let me tell you, when I was on drugs, I couldn't even find my bike. Like, much less, like, win the Tour de France. Like, you could have put me on all the EPO, I could have been chewing human endocrine glands. I wouldn't have won the fucking Tour de France. Like, give this guy a break, man. Like, Barry Bonds, all these guys are like, oh, he hit all those home runs, but he was on steroids. But you can put me on all the steroids. You can put me on Anadrol, Winstrol. I'd be eating Trenbolone all day, and I still wouldn't be able to hit the fucking fastball, not once, much less out of the park consistently. So I just watch these people, and they're like, ooh, so you see, that's where he lost a point. He bent his knee. And I'm like, he bent his knee? He just flipped in the air 17 times and landed on his pinky. Like, what are you talking about? He screwed up. That's incredible. We should all be bowing to this person. But You know, that's what you're signing on for when you watch this shit.
Well, I will say, you know, part of me feels like they're upset in the moment, but then they go back to the Olympic Village, and I think it's just one gigantic orgy because every year they already ran out of condoms. Again, they said there was 10,000 condoms in the Olympic Village. I'm like, how many people are fucking?
These are people who are athletes in their choice. They can't eat anything. They can't get drunk. Like they're precision athletes. The only thing they got going for them is fucking. Yeah. So get after it, man. Are you kidding me? And plus, they're all like super healthy and health conscious.
Everyone's
and
hot.
Stuff.
Everybody's got great
gorgeous.
Bodies.
Oh my God, please. You put them. It's like college. You
Yeah,
know, you're
really
you put a bunch of a lot of things in life can change. But college, you're just going to have 18 to 22-year-old people in the same space. There's going to be drinking, drugs, and f***ing. That's how that's going to go. And God bless. Good for them.
Well, one guy who's not engaging in that is Sturla Holm Legray.
Oh.
The bronze medalist.
He fumbled this one.
Who, yes, a Norwegian biathlete who won bronze. And he won a second medal, actually. So this guy's cleaning up.
I hope he's a biathlete because he fucked it up with women. It's over with the women now. He might as well try. He might as well be a biathlete because give it a shot with the men, buddy, because you have just shit the bed on this one.
So after Legray won his first bronze medal, his, I guess, acceptance speech, if you will, on air with an interviewer was nothing to do about the sport or his training, just how he cheated on his girlfriend, and he's so regretful. And this was his social suicide to try to get her back.
This is bad, man.
This is bad. Oh, look at those tears.
Well, the worst part is if you dig deeper down into this, even by his own words, I was watching it and I was like, you know, first of all, if you don't talk, you walk. Like, don't make admissions of this kind. Loose lips sink ships. Like, knock it the fuck. Just shut up, man. Just shut. Best lawyer advice I can give you. Shut up. Just shut your mouth. Don't talk. Just don't make no admissions. Nothing. I have no specific recollection of any wrongdoing, although I acknowledge mistakes may have been made. I'd like to move forward past this unfortunate incident. If he just said that, it would have been fine. But instead, he did so much more. But think about what he said. He said, 6 months ago, I met the most amazing woman. And 3 months ago, I cheated on her. 3 months into the relationship, you cheated on this woman. You're done. You're done. You have.
It's not even a relationship.
You are in still the most novel phase of a relationship. Right. You will not have done everything you could do to each other at the 3 month mark, even if you made it a full-time pursuit and you had other shit to do, buddy. You're practicing the biathlon. So I cannot fathom what this guy was thinking to make that admission. Like, even to give them the math like that and be like, 6 months ago I met her, and then 3 months ago I was banging somebody else.
Keep it vague, man.
You're like, just be like, you know, I met this amazing woman and I made a terrible mistake. If you want to be this fucking stupid and say that out loud in front of a camera and a microphone, did he think she was going to see that and be like, I feel good about this now that my grandmother knows that happened?
Well, that's like, her reaction. They caught up with her and she was like, I didn't ask for this. And, you know, it's really flattering, but it's really hard to forgive. If anything, maybe you just say, I want to dedicate this medal to a very special person in my life. Maybe that would work better.
Or even say, and I hurt that person, and I'm deeply sorry for it, and I want to use this as an opportunity to tell her how sorry I am. And then if they say, what was it you were sorry for hurting her? Like, whatever, be vague in that regard if you want. Like, but my God, man, this was just terrible. I'm telling you, this guy's not only done with this woman, but I think the whole, like, womanhood has now just said, like, yeah, sorry, buddy.
Well, I don't know, though. He's, you know, he started to clean up. He got multiple medals. He goes back to that Olympic. You know, there might be a moment where he says, all right, if I'm not getting her back, I'm just going to go be the man in the Olympic Village.
I don't know. You think so? You think he's going to do well on that? You're just a dude who's cheating on you 3 months into the relationship. This is not a good sign.
Well, Jim, you would know better than anybody.
Yeah.
You know, once somebody cheats, it doesn't, you know, does it really preclude the next person from?
Well, I mean, the old saying is that a man who leaves his wife for his mistress just leaves a job opening.
Yeah.
But I don't believe like once a cheater, always a cheater. I have seen plenty of clients that, you know, they learned the hard way how much pain they inflict when they cheat. With the person they cheated with themselves, with their partner who they cheated on. Like, they realize, okay, this is there were a lot of victims in this, and they remember. Okay, it's like when you've been really hungover. Like, that'll stick with you for a while. Mm-hmm. For a little while, you will go, okay, you know what? I'm not going to drink that much. Like, I don't think I've had rumplements since my sophomore year of college because I had a lot of it one night, and it was an intense night. And I think I smell that from now on, and I'm like, oh boy, yep, nope, that's my body still remembers, you know? So I think that sometimes if you burn your hand like that sometimes it does transform a person. But I just think this is such a fresh wound that this guy's going to have a bit of a hard time.
If you had to put a percentage on it, how many people do you think forgive cheating? How many people get over it? You can stay in the relationship. You can rebuild trust.
I think a lot more than we ever acknowledge. The problem is we've not created a space for people to talk about that.
Right.
I think that we pillory people who take someone back after they've cheated. We pillory people who cheated, and we don't let them ever find a redemption arc. Jay-Z is forever going, there's a certain segment of the population that's going to say, yeah, he's a cheater. And there's a certain segment of the population that's going to say Beyonce's a sucker for taking him back, even though they had children together, even though they have a whole life together. What I will tell you is a lot of people do make that journey back, because it is very common that someone will end up in my office immediately after having found out that their partner was cheating, their spouse was cheating, and they're ready to get divorced. They're like, that's it, I found this out. And then if we kind of pump the brakes a little bit, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, couple months goes by, they go to counseling, individual or as a couple, and they move through it. But the initial reaction, like, it's why very often, unless the person's already filed for divorce on the other side, which isn't usually the case, I will usually say, okay, if we want to file, we can file next week, but let's just take a breath. Let's just let this sink in. This is a major thing that just happened. Let's not act in haste and regret and leisure. And sometimes I've found that people, after that initial shock wears off and that initial pain of betrayal, they start to go, okay, where were we in the relationship, and where were the signs of this, and how have we moved away from this? And, I think most people, if they're being honest, have had some experience of either cheating in a relationship, being cheated on in a relationship, being someone with whom someone was cheating, whether they knew it or not. And again, if only there were just like awful people somewhere, but really it has a lot to do with people just making very stupid mistakes. I talked about this recently on Chris Williamson on Modern Wisdom on a recent appearance I did with him. And we talked about cheating, and we talked about that people aren't usually thinking about their spouse or partner when they cheat. It's very much about just sort of like, the shiny object that they're going after. That's not to justify it in any way, but just to say that it's not like this person went, I'm going to go out and hurt my partner today. It really is that they unintentionally ended up hurting this person. They weren't thinking about them when they should have been. They weren't thinking long term. They were thinking short term. What chocolate cake would taste good right now, not how will I feel tomorrow? What effect will this have on my long-term health? And I think that's a very human thing. So.
Do you think there's a chance for Cardi B and Stefon Diggs to get back together?
Oh, man.
Because Cardi, this is a fucking mess, man.
It's messy.
So if all the rumors are to be believed or true, Stefon Diggs at the Super Bowl brought... Cardi B was there to support him, obviously, but then he brought his new girlfriend, side piece, baby mama onto the field, like where only wags and family get to go. And then it turns out, again, if you believe the rumors, that it's the same girl that Offset cheated on her with. So this is the second time, at least the second time, she's done this to Cardi, and now, I think that bridge is fully burned.
God, if these were New York people, I would definitely be involved in this case
somehow. Oh, yeah.
But, when these
True
things happen and
the
they don't happen in New York, I'm very I know, if you're cheating on Cardi B,
if Cardi and Stefon can't make it, then,
what chance do any of us have, really? I mean... Cardi's having a rough one right now, man. I have to tell you, and I think, I want to know more about this other woman. Because she is
I believe.
She has pulled some fellas in there. There's something going on, and the women who she's pulling their attention from are not unattractive, uninteresting, unsuccessful women. I mean, Cardi B is a compelling figure, whether you find her attractive or not. You can't argue with the fact that she's talented, that she's, charismatic, that she's a show person, that she's, attention seeking and attention getting. I absolutely loved her masterclass in cross-examination that she gave at trial. So I've been a fan for a while. Plus, I like her music. And
Barty gang over here.
Oh, please. Come on, man.
I feel like Cardi...
I need some money. I need a jet. Shit. I need room for my legs. I mean, come on, Cardi.
I think Cardi deserves some credit, by the way, for not completely they said, what do you have to say to Stefon Diggs? She said, good luck. when she knew it was, for not blowing up and not murdering that other girl. Because you do it once, it's one thing. You do it twice,
I don't fear a lot of people. Trained in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu 20 years, proficient with firearms, law degree, know how to use it. I'd be scared of Cardi B.
Yeah, don't fuck with Cardi B.
I would not fuck with Cardi B.
Yeah.
If somebody comes to me right now and says Cardi B is fucking pissed at you, I would call security before I leave. I would want an escort to the subway station. I would not feel safe because I feel like I would just be standing there in the mirror and I'd go to wash my face and I'd go up and she'd just be right behind me. I'd be like, Cardi B just right there, man. Nope. She does not seem like a woman you want to fuck with.
No.
That is not. So, this guy, talk about BDE, man. You fucking with Cardi B. Like that's publicly fucking with Cardi B.
He does not give a fuck.
He's packing something. I don't know what's going on there.
So you won't step to Cardi B, but would you step to Clavicular?
Clavicular. Getting frame mogged.
Getting frame mogged by a Giga Chad.
By a Giga Chad. I mean, this could be like Gen Z's 9/11. You know what I mean? Like, where were you when Clavicular got frame mogged? I mean, he didn't see it coming. It's really shot. Yeah, this was fucking hilarious.
The looks maxer, aura farmer.
Well, I've been very inspired by Clavicular. I got into looks maxing because of him. I'm actually 5'4" and bald. And I just saw Clavicular, a couple of his videos, and I was like, you know what? I got to really work at this. And a couple weeks later, following his system, I'm 6'2" and full head
You're
of hair.
ready to mog.
Yeah, I'm really out here.
The hierarchy.
Oh, please, I'm straight Giga Chad. Yeah, this was fucking hilarious. I mean, this kid is hilarious,
dude. You know what's so? I've gone the full spectrum on him. Like when he first went viral, I was like, this guy is just a piece of shit. He literally says he does meth to look good. He hits himself in the face with hammers.
Let's not make fun of that. Okay, we all have our beauty secrets. And meth, it's not like he's doing high doses of it. He's like microdosing meth. It's it's a good weight management. Wegovy is expensive and Ozempic. You got to spend a lot on that crystal. Meth. You could get that much cheaper. I live in West Chelsea. It's very popular.
But I hated him. And then now that the whole internet's using this ridiculous lingo and he's almost such a cartoon, it almost feels like the internet's kind of getting fun again. Like we're just laughing at it rather than, letting this guy decide elections and stuff like that.
I think that this is absolutely hilarious. I think the manner in which, I do have to tell you, every once in a while, like the humor of Gen Z or Gen Alpha, like it's so on. And this was so on. Like this, the memes that were flying around the internet when this happened, like talking about it as if it was like the winter of Black 44, that this was like the Warsaw Ghetto. Like, my God, like I can't believe he got mogged, he was like, there is something so hilarious about it. I felt like for a day, The Onion
was real.
It was just real,
over, yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. Like you do watch these guys. I forget the other one's name, the dude who did the thing about Johnny Walker and how he, like, I studied about how he went to see the Tate brothers. I forget what that guy's name is. He's another one of these, like, just like selling some MLM bullshit grift. Yep. And he somehow got on like all of these shows and you see him like on Fresh and Fit and you see him on whatever. And they have nothing to go for them except for the fact that they've got this sort of, charismatic thing happening. And you just watch it and you just go, God bless this kid, man.
God bless America, man.
God bless the grift. I mean, they really enjoy your 15 minutes and do not invest it in some weird crypto scam because this is probably all the money you're ever going to make, kid. All
right, last topic of the day. We got a clip here once again from Call Her Daddy. This time, Zayn Malik from One Direction, who then went solo. He has a baby with Gigi Hadid, although they are not together. And this clip of him discussing where he stands with her went viral.
I can't wait to say that.
You said in an interview that you don't know if you've ever truly been in love. Do you still stand by that?
Yeah. Yeah. Because like my understanding of love is always developing, At that moment in time, I might have thought it was love, but as I got older, I realized maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was lust. Maybe it was this. Maybe it was that. I don't feel like it was love. And to be fair, like just to say this on record, I will always love G because she is the reason my child isn't, on this earth. And I have the utmost respect for her. I will always love her, but I don't know if I was ever in love with her. Yeah.
Well, I'll let you speak first. What do you think on that? Because there's a very specific reaction going on the internet that I
have not followed this story, so
Okay.
I'll be interested to hear what it is. But what I will say is I understand why someone would say this. I think that it's out of respect for future partners or a current partner. The sense of, well, I loved this person and I love this person, but not real love. But when you were in it, you thought it was real love. And so I don't know that that's honest. I guess it's how we define love is real fuzzy to me. Like I don't think you have to say, well, I thought this was love, but then I met this other, then it ended. So therefore it wasn't love. And this new person, this is love. But then that broke up. So that turned out to not be love. Like I think love is a very broad, like I love my kids and I love nachos and I love Brazilian jiu-jitsu and I loved my ex-wife. And I think there's a lot of things you love them. Like he's saying, I love her. I love her as the mother of my kid. I love her as someone who I spent time with and had a chapter with, but I don't think I was in love with her. Okay. So you're defining then like love as a one true love. So the person you are in love with is the singular soulmate that you could have been in love with. In a world of 8 billion people, there was only one that you could possibly be in love with. So then by definition, if it ends, that wasn't your love and it wasn't real love, even though you're saying it was in fact love, but it's not in love. Like I just don't get it. I don't really get that way of viewing things. I understand why people would want to do it out of the sense of wanting to say to your partner, oh, how I feel about you is more intense or more wonderful or different. We all want to be born again in every new relationship that we get serious with. I understand that's why people get into all this discourse about body count and stuff like that, because it's this feeling of like, oh, I don't want to just be another person who slept with you. No, you're the greatest sex I've ever had. Like I thought I'd had good sex before and oh my God, no, I hadn't had it until I had it with you. And I think that there is a certain honesty to that with each new relationship, we feel something different and something, compelling that makes us want to say, oh no, this is like, it's like nothing I've had before. And there may be something very honest to that. But I just, I don't know that it's necessary to parse it the way that he parsed it.
So, but beyond the definition of love, do you think that comment was disrespectful to Gigi Hadid?
I don't know that it's I think the part where he said that he'll always love her because she's the mother of his kids. But to say that you didn't feel that you were in love with this person, yeah, I think it's disrespectful to the relationship that you had. I think that there's probably a better way to parse it. This isn't a man who's, this is a singer in a boy band. Like, are you really that shocked that he's not going to be the single most articulate person ever? Like, what's the highest level of education he's completed? Is this a person there's a person who's had some struggles publicly. There's a person who's had some, some issues and from a very young age is thrust into a very surreal, I've represented some people that had fame from a very young age, either musicians, actors. It's a very surreal way to live your life. I only got a taste of fame in my 50s, and I will tell you it's very surreal and weird. I can't imagine if I'd been 16 or 18 or in my 20s and had people wanting to take selfies with me and knowing me and sending me emails saying, "Oh my God, I think you're amazing." Like it would absolutely make you insane. And so I don't hold it against the guy that he's not saying, but is it disrespectful to your former partner to say, well, I'd never really loved that person? I would never say that. I would never say that about my ex-wife. I would never say that about any ex-girlfriend of mine. I would say that when I was with them, I felt tremendous connection and bond to them. I believed that I was very much in love with them, but I'm still in my journey of figuring out, is there something as true love? Like, is there something more than that? I know that when I told this person I loved them, I meant it. I think that that's anything other than that feels a little disrespectful. That's going to do it for today's Better Call Sexton. Remember to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Hey, gang, we are danger close to 100,000 subscribers. And when we get there, we have got a special treat for you. I am going to make a point of picking out a subscriber and spending some time with you in a video call, getting to know you, getting to chat with you, answering your questions about the show. We might even put a portion of it up on the show. So please help us get to that goal of 100,000 subscribers. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. If you've got some friends who could subscribe, please do so. Push us along. Let's get us there. We're really excited about it. The channel is growing and we have every one of you to thank for it. Also, remember to like and follow us on Instagram at NYC Divorce Lawyer. We will keep making this content for you. as long as you keep tuning in and enjoying it. But for now, we're adjourned.